What is Moss on Sundays? Well, I answer some of the most perplexing questions that we have in life, and not just philosophical questions or something that goes that makes you feel good, and then it's like, okay, what do I do now? How do I actually integrate it into my life? This is actually questions that that give you logistics on why life is, and then how you can say apply it to your life. And it's not just about again psychological application. The way I work is I help you change your structural or your DNA, your genetic makeup, to awaken you to say that to your higher possible self. And that's where individuals say transform at a say fantastic or rapid at a rapid level. So again, welcome. The first half is about analyzing you and helping you to transform your life within minutes, literally within minutes. So we'll talk about that. The next after that, about half an hour, how not to screw up your kids. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. If you want to be scanned, just note that we're going to be using the content. We could be using it. It gives us the right to use it in any other in any other media that we choose to use, or your content. Obviously, we're not going to share your name. You don't have to put your name on there. It doesn't matter to us. So don't call back and go, hey, we can't use that, or disconnect, delete that, because it's just too much work. If you don't want to have that, just don't raise your hand. Just don't ask to be scanned. Simple as that. You can still enjoy the frequencies, by the way. As a note, I'm not a doctor in any way. I don't claim to cure you in any way. I'm not a financial analyst or anything like that. So if I do tell you something about you, it's just what I see in you. Okay, I could be totally all fucked up. I could be all wrong. So again, let's get started. This one is, hi Miles, thanks. Thank you for using your gifts to work with us. Please, can you scan me and help me to go further into my greatest self and leave lower frequencies? Many thanks. Yes. For you, again, it's a great awakening. You've really moved away from, say, the cultural patterns or the family value structure of limiting yourself, which is really fantastic as well. And then I think in the past, and I can't quite read you as well, which is really good because your old file systems, and that's what I'm helping you with, is that your old file systems, you put it away. So you're running a new pattern, you're running a new complete identity. It's literally like a whole genetic makeup that's changed for you. And it's like, yep, it's time to put or close off my old life and then, go forward with my new life. In the past, many people would have had to say died and then reset themselves and then, come back in another form. Kind of like, like the old phones. We had to get a whole new phone, right? But now with say technology, we can just say upgrade, that phone internally, right? And the hardware is good to go for, however, many generations. So same thing here. You don't have to say replace your identity. Your new sense of self can come through, which is really fantastic. So that's where you're at. It seems like you might be, again, as you integrate with family, you're going to see how much you've changed, and then that allows you to really see yourself from a very different perspective. You get to see yourself again, from where you were. When you go back to your family, that family value structure, it's like, wow, that's, they really changed or they're really messed up. But in reality, you've ascended to a higher level, and then so they haven't changed, you've changed. So acknowledge that fact. And then in this session, allowing, say, completely disconnect from those family patterns, so you just are free. Because there's always been a bond. So congratulations, very, very good. We'll go to Instagram. Could you please, what was it? So many people commenting. All right. Living with sister who has dementia. Please scan. Sure. Um, so whoever wrote that in. Um, yeah. So when I see your sister, and again, exponential intelligence, the body of knowledge that I tap into, is when I see your sister. She was in like 2, 3 different realities. So what the medical community deems as dementia or something mechanically wrong. That's a after effect on what's really happening. So she's lived in 4 different realities, throughout her whole life, and again with medications and all that, it's gotten worse, and obviously as she ages. So again, it's not dementia and suicidal patterns and depression and similar say issues, okay, or yeah, similar issues that people have. It's really not about say the chemical makeup or the physical brain structure. That's an after effect. Okay, and that's why medications and therapy and psychology, they're really slow to work if they work at all. So helping she doesn't want to be helped from what I'm sensing. Yeah. So from what I'm analyzing, she doesn't really want to be helped because again, out of fear. So and if I do work on her, it might mess her up even more because then she becomes more unstable. But I can help you understand the family patterns, so you can remove that from your space. Obviously, you're not as say bad as your sister, but you tended to say get into say other people's realities. Say you loved somebody quite a bit, and as you love them, you lose your identity, and then you claim their identity, and then it doesn't work out well. So whether it's an intimate love or others, family love, right? You're getting pulled in. This time you're not getting pulled in, and that's why the experience with living with your sister is happening for you. So again, it's a fantastic opportunity for you for spatial referencing to stay here, so you don't lose yourself, and that's highly important as well, because that's how the media. And those who want to control your thoughts through, again, media, through vaccines, through, all those things, programming, TV, and whatever other propaganda that they might use. People like you, in the past would have just tended just to go, oh shit, because you basically tell a lie enough times, it actually becomes truth for most individuals who are who get pulled out of their essence. So you are doing a fantastic job through the use of whatever that you've done with me. The 18-day metamorphosis, which changes your lives, literally changes your lives. It's not a mental state or anything. It changes your presence of who you are here in less than 18 days. So with whatever that you've done with me, you're actually seeing how you get pulled in. So in this state, just helping you even stronger. It's a really fantastic job. We'll go over to Master Manifester. Where did she go? It's just a cool name. Again, guys, sorry. So Master Manifester, where are you? What happened to that? Here we go. Matt, can you scan me once, please? Thank you so much. Sure. So again, a lot of fantastic changes. There's something going on with your mother, or the way she might have say used and distorted you. From what I'm seeing, you're pulling away from that, and as you pull away from that, especially maybe if you see her, she, through the holidays, you'll see how much entanglement there is. The importance of that is that, if you get into intimate relationships, or, if you get into, if you get into important relationships, intimate relationships, and then also like business type relationships, you're going to most likely have partners that'll just like grab, just like literally claw into you. And then, at first it might feel good because it's kind of like a tickle, kind of like a scratch, but then later on it's like they dig into you and it's like, oh shit, that hurts, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper. So you got to watch out for that. But in this scenario, you're actually like freed yourself of it, and that's why. And then that way, uh, and that's why you say you do manifest one, but in the past you used to say manifest not so good things in your life, like people, like your mom, so on. So now you can start to manifest it properly, because whatever that you manifested in the past literally is something that would, or someone that would just like drag you and pull you backwards. So, and then blame you for it. So just really helping you disconnect from that space so you can properly. So in the future, once you're like a little bit more solid, I would suggest doing, a session where I can help you how to really set goals, really how to manifest properly without destroying yourself. Because most people, who set goals, especially for the coming year, they set goals. They go, well, if I become successful, then my life is going to be better off, and maybe physically it's better off, but you as a person, it doesn't do you any good. So this one I'm just picking them randomly because it just so many people write in. It's just hard to hold. It says, hi, Moss. I've had a lot going on in my chest past few days. Could you please scan me? My daughter also has a lot coming up at the minute. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Peace. Thank you so much. Yes. So for you, um, is there physical something going on? Yeah, there might be something physically going on as well. But, overall, obviously you passed it on to your daughter, that pattern. Whenever you get tense or, whenever you have to face, say, whether it's a truth or a lie, say you have an identity, and then whether it's a truth or a lie, again, that say whatever it is that you have to face, you have lung and chest issues. So those memories. So now if there's flu season or whatever's coming through, they might call it something else like COVID and all that. It's amazing that the number of flu cases really have dropped, almost zero. And then the number of COVID cases, escalated. Wow. So is it flu or is it COVID? And so anyway, let's not get into that. But for you, back in the day, we were younger, your mother had a lot of anxiety or tension, between your father, always, patterns of shit. Are they going to split up, or, patterns, or that's what they ran. So, children who grew up in households like that, where the mother is always, say, anxious or angry or nervous and all that, they usually have like asthma, and especially the boys, but in this case, you feel like a feminine frequency. So anyway, that has stayed on along with you. But whatever that you've done with me, again, the 18 days or a session or some of the meditations that we do, like we're going to have this meditation on the 21st, where, everything is combining. It's, the winter solstice. This time around, it's more than that. It's a conjunction of all these, the planets coming together. And it's not just, woo-woo shit. It's literally the frequencies when things align like that is going to be amazing. I've called it the purity way. And so everything is coming into alignment, even human consciousness. So that's going to be on the 21st. And then, a huge letting go of 2020, which I think most of us would want. Letting go of the past year, not letting it go, but allowing whatever we need to let go on the inside, so we don't carry that shit forward, right? So for many people who do XI, 2020 was a fantastic year. It gave them a chance to learn about themselves. So, but for you, as I was explaining, really letting go of those things that say have affected you physically. So for you and your daughter, you got it from your mom, and then you've passed it on. Although your mom is an aggressive type individual, you're the victim type individual. So getting rid of that victim. So so that's what's happening. So again, congratulations, and it hasn't been say that long, and that you've been with me. As a note, guys, if I read you, please comment back. Okay, just as say the accuracy, not from I know I'm accurate, but for other people, especially for those who are new. So we'll go back to Instagram, and then on Instagram as well, guys. What we're doing, we're phasing out Instagram and probably Facebook as well. It's just too cumbersome, and we're just going to go all into YouTube. So within a couple of weeks, it's all going to be on YouTube channel, and it's just easier. It's just more efficient, and we can do a lot more technologically. So just be aware of that. This is Hamas. Please scan me. Feeling confused. I think a lot of dead people at work. Yeah. So for you, is it DNAB 4365? Yeah. So so for you, when what's happening is that when you're from what I'm seeing is that you've always been out of your body, and you're always hypersensitive to your surroundings. That's the way you'd experience it, right? And that's true. There are, say, dead frequencies around you. So, and for some of you who are new or that sciencey type, so let me just explain that as I work on you. And I think you have like a child, or it could be you. Oh, so oh, okay. So it could be a child of yours, or I can't quite tell. Like a 17, 18-year-old child. And the reason why I can't tell, because I think at 17 or 18, I don't think you wanted to be here. Does that make sense? So that aspect of you, like a 17-year-old daughter, so that aspect of you, for example, say you wanted to die or not be here around 16, 17, something happened, and then life is emotion. Say it's emotion, and then what happens is that you don't want to be here, so you basically create a snapshot of life, right? You create a snapshot of life, and then you run from that moment, and then you're disconnected from this reality. That's why your life always feels like you're disconnected from it. So even like intimacy, and all the happy moments, you're always removed and don't feel it fully. So that's why. So again, you're at a great place where you've really strengthened yourself at this point. So I can just click you into this place. So you remove whatever. And as you've come into yourself, you actually get to sense. You actually get to sense what reality that you existed in. And that's why there's, let's say, that presence, or you might call it dead people around you. So let me explain. Say dead people and presences around you. For those people, well, I just don't believe. I just whatever I sense here, that's what it is, right? That's not true, because your senses, your five senses, say like your visual sense, it's just a tiny sliver of, say, all the light frequencies that are available to you, to the left and to the right of our visual perception. So for example, back in the day, we couldn't see X-ray or gamma or all those other frequencies. Right now we do. We have cameras and so on. So back in the day, does that mean that those things didn't exist? Fuck, of course not. Right. So so some people like me and others, they actually have frequencies or sensory perception that can go beyond, say, the physical, common physical limitations, or even sounds. There's dogs obviously hear a lot louder sounds than we do. So does that mean that back in the day, before we knew that, those sounds, right, didn't exist? No, of course not. That'd be stupid. What's even more stupid is that science still believes in that format. If they can't prove it, then it's not real. Well, fuck, the world keeps continuing whether science proves it or not. Right? The bacteria works the way it should, and all that. Back in the day, by the way, in the medical professional, before they had the invention of microscopes, it was cool for doctors to go from one surgery to the other surgery to have as much blood on their gowns as they could from other patients. So imagine going from one, nowadays it's ludicrous, right? But that was the scientific community, that was the medical community, and they're still in that process. So so think about what science says. Think about what all those intelligent, say so-called intelligent people say, and go beyond that. So again, finishing up the story, and then we'll get into um, my kid's DNA needs your help. So just working on them as well. Okay. So when those doctors, they would go and they couldn't believe why their patients were dropping dead, because the surgery was very successful. And then the advent of microscopes came about. And as they became, they would put blood, and it's like, holy shit, there's a whole different world under there. There's a lot of bacteria, organisms, and so on. And they started to notice, it's like, oh, that's why, because we're passing on bacteria from one to another. So it's not so cool, having as much, blood on, and now we're in a, sterile area. So it's crazy shit what people used to believe in, even scientists or intellectuals, and everything else. I could go on and on, but this isn't about that. I do a lecture series, by the way, talking about the deeper science on what really happens. Even, no offense, just one more bit. Neil deGrasse, I think he sold himself out. Really fantastic individual, but as of late, from what I'm seeing, he literally sold himself out to whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it the elites, because they're not. So his scientific perception is bent, to accommodating whoever pays a lot of money to him. So anyway, that's my take. It might be wrong, and I'm not saying this to discredit him or anything like that, but I'm just seeing what it is, and I'm pretty accurate all the time. So anyway, getting back to you guys, I guess it's my place now to tell the truth, and especially when people are trying to, say, edit or control the masses, by dysfunctions, lies, and so on. So again, it allows me to use my abilities and call people out. Before, it's like, well, I had to talk to them, and now I don't have to. So anyway, this one, hi Moss, my kid's DNA needs your help. Can you please scan them? Sure. So what's happening is, the mother, from their mom, or you, what's happening is that you've just, and this is, I guess, a great intro for how not to screw up your kids, which is coming up in about 5 minutes. Okay, so so how you love your kids so much, and I'm talking to this person. You love your kids so much that you don't want anything to happen to them, right? You don't want anything, and then and then you basically, like, literally suffocate them just to make it simple. So your whole identity is in them, literally, and whether you forced it, abrasively by abusing them, beating them up, or those situations, or because you were raised that way, or your mother was your mother, so their grandmother was raised that way. Your mom does the opposite, again, to protect your space, and then you've done that, but again, a lot of overprotection. So the same way that abusive parents just destroy their kids' identity, you've kind of destroyed your kids' identities. And again, I'm saying it from the love that I have for kids, to have them grow properly. So the good thing is that you're awakening to the fact, and you're starting to realize, it's like, oh shit, so don't blame yourself, and that's the key. You shouldn't blame yourself. It's just it's just progression. Take opportunity and credit yourself, because you're the one in the family that's waking up, and it's like, oh my god, look what's happened to my kids. I've passed all that shit on, and they're young enough where you can, you've changed quite a bit, and that's allowed you to go, oh shit, all that stuff is my kid's DNA. So yes, so even and it hasn't been scientifically proven, but there's enough people who have changed. Okay, so so even your DNA on how you age, you can change with with exponential intelligence. You can change how you age. You can change how you get, diseases that run in your family. So all those things, again, because of your awakening. So take credit for that. Because of your awakening, you're pulling that away. You're pulling that out of your kids and out of yourself as well. So really fantastic job. Okay, and I just want to stress people that when you have kids and you do XI and then you wake up and you go, holy crap, all that shit that, was in me, I've given to my kids. Don't feel bad about it, because you woke up, and now you're removing them before it's a little too late. Obviously when it's younger, it's easier that way, but, so from 15 backwards, 15 and younger, it's easier to remove. 15 and older, it's a little harder because it makes it their choice. So if you have older kids and you see how you've affected them, again, don't feel bad. It's just that's the way evolution has been in human society. At least you're awakening. So it is what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect on Instagram, and then we'll go ahead and read Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll restart the session. And again, or if you just want to transfer into YouTube, we're going to be doing that soon anyway. So either way, but we'll start back up. Okay, so just give me a second, guys. And then for you guys, if you want to just hang out while I just start. Alrighty, that didn't take long. So back to here. This one, supernatural or physical, disassociated my shoulder in my sleep, in severe pain. Also, please reconnect me with my estranged niece and nephews. Help them with fear. Thank you so much. I see a lot of fear in you. So let's work on that. There's somebody doing a religious cleanse. So fantastic. So for you, what's happening is that you've changed quite a bit, and then what you're doing is like you're trying to go back, because every time you say go forward, there's always something that happens to you to slow you down. Okay, and that was your pattern unknowingly, but now, and I'm not saying knowingly that you're doing this, but just be mindful of that. Okay, every time something happens where you can see the light of success, do you notice that shit breaks down around you, or you get in a panic state, or you go back and try to help somebody? So you're running that pattern now. Okay, so again, getting hurt, thinking about your nieces and nephews and all that stuff, those are all actually you. It's about you. So I would really suggest, and again, I'm not here to tell you what to do or not, but I would highly suggest where you are to break away from, say, that pattern of helping people, because it doesn't help them. It doesn't help you, because you just basically recycle. You, excuse me, you circulate, you recycle your old patterns. Right? It's like you get better and better, and it's like, now, and that's that guilt. Okay? It literally goes back to guilt, which is actually fear. Because people who use fear to control you use guilt as a tool. So and it goes back into, say, your religious values and so on like that. So helping you disconnect from that. So this is the pivotal moment where people like you, cleaning yourself out through, again, the 18-day metamorphosis or whatever that you've done with me. You're getting to the point where you're seeing like you should be. You're seeing your You're seeing your patterns that you run so clearly. So don't fall back into it. I urge you, don't fall back into it. So don't worry about your nieces and all that stuff. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be cold, but when you break free, okay, when you break free of your pattern, your niece and nephew start to go, shit, I don't have to run these patterns of my, the distortions of the family, the distortions of my parents. They literally will like follow you, and that's how you help them. So you're helping them from a higher perspective. Otherwise, you're going to go back into, say, a burning building, and then you're going to burn yourself and the kids, and nobody survives. By the way, that's what most generation after generations do. Okay. So with that in mind, let's jump into how not to screw up your kids, the deep science. And I'll still read the comments, by the way. So you can still comment in, even if I don't, publicly read your comments. I'm still scanning through and, just working on you. By the way, the way my abilities work, I'll talk about that, not here, on another lecture. We'll put up some videos on how my abilities work. By the way, you all have these abilities. I'm the one that's they honed it in myself, right? So that's all, and that's how evolution works. When you become your best possible self, it allows other people to become their best possible self. So let me just explain that as I pull up my notes for how not to screw up your kids, which is, Roger Bannister. I don't know if you guys know who Roger Bannister is, but Roger Bannister was the first person who broke the 4-minute mile. Okay. And before that, it was world news. So again, before that, nobody ran faster than 4 minutes in a mile. Okay, a mile in 4 minutes. So with that being said, just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So the key is that after he broke the 4-minute mile, again, it was world news. That's how sensational it was. It was, I mean, crazy. All the coverage, and it was amazing. He was like Superman. But then, like 2-3 months later, somebody broke the 4-minute mile, and then more people and more people. And nowadays, if you're not running a 4-minute mile, you're not considered a professional or a serious runner. So how did that happen? That's true evolution. Right? The same thing with your kids, by the way, or same thing with generational pattern. But unfortunately, that same pattern does the reverse. Say that you didn't break the 4 minutes. Nobody broke the 4-minute mile. It takes somebody really courageous, to bounce against, say, the status quo, right, of society or human consciousness, and then break, right? And as you do, again, everybody else follows. But if you don't, the wall that you're breaking free, the consciousness, let's say, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker with each generation. So think of it in your family settings. So over time, what happens is the patterns, whether it's heart issues, whether it's success patterns, whatever it is that's out there, that we pass on into our genetic structure, onto our downline. It's not just physical makeup, it's not just the looks, even your looks that you have, the eyes, people go, oh, you have the most beautiful eyes. It reminds me of your aunt, Sally Mae. And it's not just her eyes that you have, it's all her, say, if she ran depression, if she had, anxiety and all those things, because of, again, those eyes are identical to hers, most likely you've got everything else wrapped into you as well. Okay, so again, there are blessings within hereditary patterns or evolutionary patterns, and then there's all this gunk that we hold on. So over time, we're supposed to release all that, but we don't. Okay, just imagine, and we'll go into a deep dive in about 15 minutes, and just imagine all the things that you, as you were a kid, that you didn't want to be or do to your kids, right, when you were younger. So, so all the things that you hated about your parents, right? And then, as you think back, if you have kids, especially, or if you don't have kids, totally fine. It's the same thing. So all those things you hated about your parents. So if you don't have kids, look at how you become. Well, if you do or don't have kids, look at how again you're kind of paralleling, right? Those people from XI, it's like, oh shit, that was a long time ago, right? We practiced 18-day meditations and so on. So congratulations to you. But again, go back a little deeper, and then again notice, right, that you literally parallel. You might be going, no, I'm the opposite. My parents were religious, I'm spiritual. Or my parents were not so successful, I'm successful. My parents were super successful, I'm not. Look at the end results. If you look at the end results, it's the same thing. You're both empty, whether you're successful or not successful, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter, right? So look at those end results, and then look at how you raise your kids. So when we raise kids, we're in real time, right? There's something that happens, whether it's something extreme, something a tragedy, or an emergency, or just normal everyday living. We really don't think about it because we're really preoccupied, on, say, other things. And that's one of the big key factors is that, well, most people are preoccupied. They're not really there. Your kids sense that, by the way. Okay, you can't fake it. So what do? You have to do something. You have to, say, answer or solve this problem. The kids' homework, or they're always late, or they're in trouble, or they get bullied, or whatever it is. So what do? You go back to your default status, what naturally happens. What you were raised with. So that's why we, just generation after generation after generation, what do? We become like our parents, and then we send that, not only genetically, we send our hereditary patterns, but then the nurture side of your DNA, right? You treat your kids the way your parents treated you, basically. So think back, and as you think back, and the reason why I want you to think back is, like, I'm helping you, say, disassociate from those patterns so you can see it from, say, a more clear perspective. Okay.